Hello, everyone. I'm Kat Blimke,
I'm Jonathan Carroll. Hello.
and we are digital exhibitions consultants at the MacKenzie Art Gallery. It's been a while since we saw you folks, and now we're joined by so many guests and familiar faces here as well on the MacKenzie Art Gallery's live stream. Um, we, I'm just we are here today to present the opening of There Is No Center, an exhibition curated by Katie Micak for the gallery. It's really amazing for us to be back on stream here with our new digital programs. It's almost been 3 years that we started streaming our digital programs here. And in these 3 years, you've seen our programming develop as we continue to support the development and distribution of Canadian and Indigenous digital art. And this program today is a very special part of an ongoing new project from the gallery, the MacKenzie Art Gallery, that we're calling Detail, which is the Digital Exhibitions Toolkit and Art Installation Launcher, which is designed to support the development of digital art exhibits for digital platforms. And we've been partnering with arts organizations, curators, and artists to develop this resource for a public release in 2024. But you don't have to wait. We're launching this exhibit today that is the first of three new exhibits to be created with this toolkit. We've been so grateful along the way to have Katie Micak and all the participating artists who are here with us today who've contributed their work to this new initiative. Thank you for your patience and all the bumps along the road. We'd also like to acknowledge the support of the Canada Council for the Arts Digital Strategy Fund for this project. And we'd also like to acknowledge the land that we're gathered here on today, without which none of our digital activities would be possible. The MacKenzie Art Gallery itself is located on Treaty 4 territory, which is the homeland of the Cree, the Saulteaux, the Lakota, Nakota, Dakota, and Métis people. The artists joining us today are largely gathered on the traditional territory of many nations. That includes the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples. This area is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. And Jonathan and I are joining you today from Essaykatik in Mi'kmaq, which is the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. You, our lovely audience, are gathered where you are, and I thank you for joining us on this live stream. And just one quick note for folks who are joining us in the various platforms that this live stream is hosted in, you're encouraged to ask questions or make your comments anytime in the text chat. If you're watching this through the embedded stream at the MacKenzie Art Gallery or at thereisno.gallery, just click that video title to be directed to the YouTube stream that has the chat compatibility. If you're watching this on a desktop computer, it can be found on the right-hand side of the video, but if you're viewing from a mobile device, the chat's located underneath. And whether you're watching this on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch, you will need to be logged into that account to contribute to the chat. But to start us off, I would like to get some reactions in the chat for our Executive Director and CEO here at the MacKenzie Art Gallery, Xuan Ye Hampton. John, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for letting me join your talking heads here. I'll be the figurehead in front of my virtual Jeremy Bailey piece here. So I'm so excited to see the launch of this program when John and Katz first started conceiving it and proposing it. It's seemed like a really amazing way to help ensure that we can support new directions within digital art in Canada and across internationally as well. And then was really excited when I saw Katie Micak join in and get started, and all of these great artists. Some of you who I know personally and some who I've followed. And I just have to also extend my thanks to the Canada Council for the Arts Digital Strategy Fund and our ongoing operating support from the MacKenzie Operating Endowment at the South Saskatchewan Community Foundation, Sask Lotteries through Sask Culture, Sask Arts, the City of Regina, and the University of Regina. And with that, I won't take up more of your time and hand it back over to Kat and John.
Thanks, John. And now I have my spiel out of the way. So I'd like to introduce the curator of There Is No Center, Katie Micak. Katie, I'm just going to give a brief introduction for you, and then I'll swear I'll let you go ahead and show us everything you've dreamed up. Katie Micak is a hybrid professional with curatorial research and artistic practices focused on technology's effect on space, relationships, emotional states, and our collective understanding of shifting realities. She's one of the founding members and returning curators of Toronto's Vector Festival, an initiative highlighting video game-based artwork as a mode of research and personal expression. Now part of Toronto's Artist-Run Center's Interaxis' annual programming, Vector Festival continues to showcase a broad range of digital art. Katie was the gallery director of Spark Contemporary Art Space in Syracuse, New York, and at Toronto's Propeller Gallery. She was the digital media presentation specialist at the Phillips Collection in Washington, D.C., and was the curator of the Toronto Kids Digital Festival. Recently, she was curator and residency coordinator at the Living Arts Center for the City of Mississauga, and we're thrilled to have her here as guest curator at the MacKenzie Art Gallery. Katie, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited. I am going to be doing a detailed curator tour. It's going to run for about 20 minutes. So hold on to your hats. I'm really excited about this show. It's been a journey. It's really exciting, and I hope you all enjoy it too. So with that, I will just jump right in. And I don't know if we're going to be doing screen sharing now or, okay, now we are. Okay, cool. All right. I might take water breaks too. So hello and welcome. My name is Katie Micak. I'm the curator of There Is No Center, an experimental online exhibition. There's definitely already a history of online experimental shows. Net art exhibitions have been around as long as the internet. This show references video games and attempts to pull from its unique qualities in visual language. It was interesting to me when the moment when online shows began hitting the mainstream due to the COVID-19 pandemic, many online exhibitions operated like PDF documents or traditional web pages. Occasionally, immersive digital environments presented work in simulated white cube galleries by presenting JPEGs or 3D sculptures, referencing their actual size and scale, or documented existing IRL exhibitions that were navigatable in a similar way to real estate listings, still very much referencing physical reality. I asked, but why? Online exhibitions can offer unique possibilities for the presentation of art, existing entirely in digital space and integrating digital art practices seamlessly. They are unbound from the laws of physics. Digital shows have the unique ability to transport viewers into constructed realities, integrating visual and sonic universes within a single screen. It's hard to escape skeuomorphic tendencies, but in There Is No Center, we were interested in challenging what online exhibitions can offer artists as expansions of their work and audiences as an experience. This exhibition is built using the 3D animation software Unity. Unity enables users to build interactive and real-time responsive digital environments or scenes. In developing the show, I was inspired by the game theory first presented by Johan Huizinga in the book Homo Ludens, a study of the play elements of culture in culture, first written in 1938. The concept describes how gameplay exists within a magic circle, a distinct realm with its own rules, reality, and goals. Kate Sellen and Eric Zimmerman further examined this text in Rules of Play, Game Design Fundamentals in 2004, describing the magic circle as an imaginary location which can be entered into and exit out of, paused, and resumed. This location is the idea of, quote, a special place in time and space created by a game. The circle is an important feature of this concept. As a closed circle, the space it circumscribes is enclosed and separate from the real world. As a marker of time, the magic circle is like a clock. It simultaneously represents a path with a beginning and an end, and one without a beginning and an end. The magic circle inscribes a space that is repeatable, a space both limited and limitless, in short, a finite space with infinite possibility, end quote. The notion of a center implies symmetry, an intersection, or the middle of an enclosed shape. There Is No Center presents the concept of asymmetry or centerlessness. It does so by evaluating how rules of exhibition development alter when it comes to the process of constructing immersive digital shows. There Is No Center asks, How does the presentation of an artwork in a digital environment change the role of the viewer? Are works inherently gamified if they operate in the language of video games? If so, can an exhibition be a game and the viewer a player? For the purpose of this talk, the term viewer and player will be used interchangeably. Okay, I guess we can sort of start navigating. Thank you. There Is No Center takes place in a fictitious museum composed of 7 levels. Viewers first find themselves in a round, doorless atrium enclosed with large poster-sized images similar to movie posters. Each image references a work in the exhibition. On one wall, a directionless elevator with an unusual round dial allows viewers to select the order they will visit the show. Connecting the show, the elevator operates as a transitional space between virtual worlds, with mysterious icons representing the individual works. So, I think we got a good look. So here's the elevator, and you can see the icons. So when you enter, using the cursor, which is in the center of the screen, you'll be able to navigate to a artwork. And we're going to start with Milumbe Haimbe. So the first 2 works I'll talk about are games as stories. 2 of the works are video games, each born from a need to tell a cultural history, immersing players in interactive stories. Zambian-born artist Milumbe Haimbe presents powerful allegories in her 2D puzzle game, Ishu Elegbara, God of the Crossroads, made in 2018. Eshu Elegbara is a mythical character originally from West Africa and is known as a benevolent trickster who moves between the material and divine realms. To access the game, are we in it? Did we go through the bus? To access the game, players must first exit the elevator directly into the interior of a city bus. The bus appears to be completely ordinary except for the presence of a floating screen and an emanating light. This screen is the portal for entering the artwork, which is up right now. Players are captured and transported to a realm called the Crossroads. The goal is to return to your world. Before that is possible, you must successfully answer 3 riddles. So Jonathan is going to click through parts of the game, and it will get eventually to the first allegory once we're transported. So let's just let this run for a little bit, and I'll continue to speak. Okay. All right. So you'll answer 3 riddles. If a riddle is answered incorrectly, players must start at the beginning of the game and are unable to skip previous riddles. The game provides a cyclical experience, and depending on how it is played, can be either delightful or frustrating. Aesthetically, Haimbe's drawings and text animations simultaneously reach into the past and to the future by alternating between the ancient and the speculative science fiction. Her interest in building this game was inspired by her desire to keep traditional stories alive. This work is designed to appeal to younger generations who might not have access to traditional oral storytelling formats. It embraces technology as a means of connecting diasporic communities, creating a contained digital archive of important lessons and tales. So that's that piece. So maybe before we give away too much, I would love for everyone to play it, obviously. Jonathan, do you think we can move back into the elevator? Yeah, so there's the bus heading back to the elevator. Great, super weird. Okay, so next we're going to visit When Rivers Were Trails, which is a game made in 2019. This is an expansive project led by Anishinaabe, Métis, and Irish artist Elizabeth LaPensée and Tongva and Scottish artist, writer, and illustrator Weshoyot Alvitre. It involves the collaboration of around 30 Indigenous contributors. Oh, and here it is. Maybe we can turn it, I don't know if it's too loud, or can people still hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay,
Sounds
great.
good.
Okay, cool. I'll just keep going. All right. When Rivers Were Trails is an immersive first-person point-and-click adventure game in which players take on the role of an Anishinaabe person in the 1890s, traveling from White Earth, located in what is commonly known as Minnesota, to Red Lake, located in what is known as California. Today, these locations are known as White Earth Indian Reservation and Red Lake Indian Reservation, respectively. Installed in a forest, viewers may wander a landscape with two peculiar square objects floating in the air. These objects are access points for the game: a button which hyperlinks to an external web page for downloading the game in full, and a screen that hosts a video trailer for the work. So I think the trailer has been activated. Yes, awesome. Okay, contextually, this game freezes a moment in time in which Indigenous communities were dispersed by the United States government through the Nelson Act of 1889. This act authorized that, quote, Indian tribal land be divided into allotments, and if the amount of reservation land exceeded the amount needed, the federal government could purchase the land from tribes and sell it to white settlers for business opportunities. This also encouraged the assimilation of native peoples, end quote. Within the game, players face life and death decisions as they navigate rough terrain, deal with run-ins with law enforcement, and assist fellow travelers. Interjections of stories and myths teach players about the medicinal properties of plants or symbolic histories of animals. The game is vast, detailed, historical, and educational. When Rivers Were Trails oscillates between historical context and personal choice, placing the player within an abstracted yet powerful position of a person who lived through traveling a vast landscape with survival as the goal. Okay. Yeah, it's a beautiful game. And you get to keep it, basically. It's a download option. And as a side note, it is an educational aid, which has been accessed by teachers in classrooms across the United States and Canada. Hopefully more do. Okay, we're gonna head to Interstellar Illusions, please. So now I'm gonna talk about two works, which I'm describing as games without goals. So first will be Interstellar Illusions, made in 2022 by Jamaican-Canadian artist Adrienne Matheuszik, and Belly of the Whale, started in 2018 and is now ongoing, by Chinese Toronto-based artist Xuan Ye. Both are exploratory 3D digital spaces built without a specific goal or objective. Considering games without goals, Jesper Jules writes in Without a Goal on Open and Expressive Games that, quote, often video games are goal-oriented, rule-based activities where players find enjoyment in working towards it. Goals provide a sense of direction and set up challenges for players to face, but removing or making goals optional can make new types of player experiences. All right, so we're in Interstellar Illusions. Rather than moving through digital space with a distinct aim, these works operate as expressive and metaphorical landscapes. Of course, there are still rules to goalless games, including the limitations and requirements of navigation or the boundaries of set pathways. But these games create meaning through the artist's construction of the virtual world and the immersive player experience. For Interstellar Illusions, Matheuszik invites viewers to wander a fictional and abandoned extraterrestrial planetary resort located on Proxima b. This resort offers a Kubrick-esque feel with a high level of symmetry in a series of maze-like corridors and hallways. Portals lead to hotel suites and a poolside lounge built within the vista of rough alien terrain and expansive celestial skyscapes. Inspired by the recent and real possibility of space travel and tourism, Matheuszik is interested in addressing themes of colonialism, exploitation, and consumption by speculating on how humans might approach inhabiting new planets. Would humans create new systems and realities if offered a fresh start, or will extraterrestrial exploration result in extensions of existing models of colonization as it currently exists within the Earth-based human experience? Matheusik's practice addresses colonial oppression by retelling history through a science fiction lens in order to reimagine post-colonial realities. Her work floats through ideas and possibility, but ultimately Interstellar Illusions creates a world in parallel to our own, where a planet's life-sustaining resources are used, abused, and abandoned. So right now we're in the corridor, one of the corridors. These are very maze-like. And if you are in this space, you can return to the elevator if you need to, if you get lost. But it's a huge virtual space, and there's lots of different areas to explore. Beautifully made. Okay, so Jonathan, I don't know if you want to show any of the outside.
Yes, I'll try to take us there now.
Okay. There's lots of doors and they all lead somewhere different. Oh, we're in the
I'm not
other.
outside yet.
Oh, that's okay. It's great. You can spend a lot of time wandering around this piece. It's very detailed.
It just got to load.
Okay.
Here it comes.
Online shows. Well, if it doesn't load.
It will. The first, a feature request for myself is to put a little loading bar in that.
Oh, okay,
space.
Yeah, this is a huge project. Okay, awesome. Yes, we're in one of the exterior spaces. This abandoned satellite, like beautiful landscape. Amazing. Okay, so maybe for the sake of time, we should move on.
Mhm.
Okay, great. Thank you. So I'll just begin speaking about the next piece. So Belly of the Whale by Xuan Ye, originally built as an immersive VR experience in combination with real-time EEG brainwave sensing headset, custom software, and surround sound. For There Is No Center, Belly of the Whale has been converted into an in-browser experience. Taking place on a commercial cruise ship, viewers explore decks and rooms, leaving a ghostly white trail as they walk. This is a real-time visualization of each traveled path. The trails remain present for all subsequent visitors to see for the duration of the exhibition. As more visitors explore the piece, more pathways appear, eventually consuming the ship in a fog of captured movement. These trails are a form of data visualization, collected to illustrate an individual player's route of exploration. In tracking the personalized movement, Ye builds a spatial metaphor for referencing an invisible undertone present in all data collection efforts, surveillance capitalism. Harvard professor Shoshana Zuboff defines this term as the unilateral claiming of private human experience as free raw material for translation into behavioral data, to be computed and packaged as products and sold into future markets. In Belly of the Whale, viewers will leave evidence of their exploration. The work is interested in exposing the insidious quality of data collection and surveillance has in both IRL and digital contexts. Also, will data collection have impact on future art exhibitions? We don't know. So as the show moves forward, goes on durationally, more of these streams, these trails will start appearing as people visit the space. I'm very excited to see what will happen. Okay, cool. So maybe we can head to Thoreau's, to VRCat.
Yep.
So this section I'm going to speak about next includes two projects. I'm going to start with Thoreau Bakker's, and I'm calling these two projects Feigls in Space. So Feigl was a new term that I came across in researching this project. The term Feigl describes the blending of digital and physical experiences or objects. Two works in There Are No Center oscillate between the digital and the analog in both their concept and execution. Thoreau Bakker's VRCat from 2018 and then revisited again in 2022 for this exhibition is a gamified 3D sculpture. VRCat was created in the software Adobe Medium. This program requires a VR headset and specialized hand controllers. Through this, the artist was able to simulate a hand-building clay technique, physically sculpting an object in VR. The specialized process allows Bakker to develop a highly polished figure with a similar aesthetic to a commercial toy, which was then 3D printed into a physical art object. Returning to the digital, There Is No Center gamifies VRCat, allowing viewers to play with a digital toy and the idea of mass production. Oh, there it goes. Upon entering the space, viewers will see a cardboard box sitting within a white void of nothingness. The box reads "click." This instruction activates the interaction. Once clicked, a VR cat is revealed, popping from the closed box, only to be tossed aside in order to reveal the next cute kitty. To expand on this, Bakker investigates the impulsive need to click and collect by hiding VR cats in a mysterious and bottomless box. Bakker developed 60 colorful textures called skins for the sculpture, changing a singular digital object into a series of multiples. Viewers can interact and unbox VR cats repeatedly, gathering dopamine hits similarly experienced in social media interactions, and referencing the pleasure of consumption and accumulation. That's pretty wild. Thank you. So you could just click this all day. I would love for people to click it as many times as they can and then, I don't know, screenshot it. I haven't been able to click it like 2,000 times yet. So I'm curious to do that. Okay, so we're going to go to Fallon's piece, please. Okay. Next, Anishinaabe Métis artist, educator, and policy writer Fallon Simard explores the formal and conceptual potential of memes as objects by presenting 6 images from a larger series of works called Bodies That Monetize from 2016 and 17. The JPEGs show a range of imagery ranging from the mundane, a burger and fries, a crumpled bag, the natural, a pink cherry tree, and the abstracted, a line drawing resembling a human figure, with text phrases layered over top. Bodies That Monetize visualize bad feelings in response to injustice, human rights violations, and colonial violence. First developed for a physical installation at Toronto's Blank Canvas Gallery in 2017, Bodies That Monetize showed the memes as cliché prints, dislocating them from their expected shareable online platforms. The tangible objects were meant to engage and activate conversation in physical space and IRL communities instead of in the digital. Simard's practice addresses the harm caused to bodies by colonial violence. The images that compose the Bodies That Monetize series are highly emotive, creating feelings of emptiness, grief, and loss. Simard writes, rather than seeing how the harms of resource extraction, settler colonialism, and neoliberalism are imprinted on the body, my images reveal a distance. The still images, or memes, illustrate how bodies are disconnected and removed from the land due to the insidious methods of settler colonialism. Presenting these memes in physical space as standalone objects creates a disconnect between their typical or intended usage. The metaphorical gesture is meant to illustrate how cognitive dissidence has been normalized as a coping strategy for living within the realities of colonial harm. Simard points out that the concept applies not only to Indigenous communities, but for all those who live on unceded lands. There Is No Center presents images from Bodies That Monetize in an interior of a warehouse filled with coniferous vegetation. In video games, warehouses often function as a location for gun battle or combat. To counteract the associations with the violent stage, this warehouse supports a growing forest. The presence of trees and plants point to concepts of returning to the land and the restoration of Indigenous sovereignty over it. In revisiting the project, Simard reframes these image objects, returning them to their original digital environment, now in a virtual and conceptual place of regrowth. Such a lovely project. I really love it. Okay. All right, so we're going to head to the final work in the exhibition. And this one is under the heading of Extending the Economy of Images. So, standing alone as the only non-computer and audio-dependent piece, Tom Sherman's Exclusive Memory from 1987 is a 20-minute video excerpt of a 6-hour video performance selected in collaboration with the artist. The work is presented in the most skeuomorphic installation of the show, a familiar IRL video projection setup in a dark room. Speakers flank a suspended projection screen, allowing for the rich and textured audio of Sherman's speaking voice to increase in volume as viewers approach the double-sided video image. So there it is. Okay, can you still hear me? Is it still clear? When Lila's talking?
This is what people do with telephones. It's different than
Exclusive Memory dramatizes a university professor working in the field of artificial intelligence and machine learning who is conducting research. Is it still clear?
Yeah.
Yeah. I turned it
Okay.
down on the stream a little
Okay,
bit.
thank you. It's just like I can hear it and I'm talking.
Yeah, it's
Gonna
going to
go
be,
back.
it's quieter for the audience than it is for you.
Okay, great. All right. So exclusive memory dramatizes a university professor working in the field of artificial intelligence and machine learning who is conducting research. The video is static, showing the artist speak through a corded rotary telephone to a listener off screen. The work illustrates a fictional training session between the artist and an intelligent robot who is able to see Sherman via the cameras, but not able to process movement. The robot can understand colloquial language, but is not able to respond. Sherman speaks on a variety of concepts. His monologue is a stream of consciousness, flowing between real and fabricated descriptions, including types of images, human perception, technological innovation, and predictive observations. Interwoven are humorous tangents on past career ventures and how video games keep children from killing insects. These conversational monologues are referred to by Sherman as experience transfers, in which he relays information in a storytelling format. The excerpt, though broad, captures a central idea in exclusive memory's overall investigation, an analysis of the economy of images. There has been much theory and research pertaining to the concept surrounding the economy of images as it relates to capitalist interests or monetary value. However, in exclusive memory, Sherman creates his own definition. He is interested in the currency images hold from an information standpoint, identifying that although still images do hold a great deal of informational value for the robot, it is what's outside the frame, the spatial context, that extends and grounds the image's meaning. Sherman speaks. The still image has a great deal of value. Humans have mobility perceptually in terms of time and referencing the imagery in terms of our own history or psychohistory. We have the capability of moving our body around and look at still images from different perspectives, looking at it comprehensively from different positions. Not having to contend, end quote. Not having to contend with the narrow frame of the camera, Sherman explains to the robot that humans are in the image and the image is the world. Next, the artist speaks excitedly, sharing that at the core of technological innovation is the human desire to connect with machines. Developments have occurred and we're going to see a vast change in the whole concept and the economy of images. We're going to see an interrelationship between the static and the moving, which is going to be really incredible. Human awareness is going to be improved by modeling these perceptual techniques in machines. Next, pausing to think, Sherman changes his tone and speaks directly to us, the audience of his video. Revealing that he is only pretending to train the robot, the performance is actually meant to model his ideal human-machine relationship. By breaking the fourth wall and turning his attention away from the invisible robot towards us, the unseen viewers, Sherman collapses the conceptual and spatial boundaries of the piece. Exclusive Memory is a video from 1987 installed in a custom-built Unity environment in 2023. As Sherman reaches through the video's frame, addressing the viewer, the boundaries of the artwork begin to blur into the digital environment, bending the viewer's location in virtual space. Sherman collapses the frame of the video and, in a way, enters the digital installation by engaging the virtual audience. Of course, the real audience is sitting at home on their computer playing the show. Okay, great. So let's go back to the lobby or the elevator. And I just have a conclusion. Thank you. So in conclusion, There Is No Center does not strive to turn immersive online art exhibitions into video games, nor does it hope to turn all viewers into players. Instead, this exhibition recognizes that three-dimensional and navigatable worlds are instinctively tied to the visual language of video game space and the activity of play. There Is No Center points towards expanding the conceptual boundaries of digital art presentation, pointing towards an endless digital vista where horizons are illusions and viewers walk through walls. Thank you. That's my talk. And I did want to share one other note from Tom Sherman's installation. There's an image behind the screen. It's a hidden image, almost like an Easter egg of the show. And the image is a rendering of an IRL painting by Tom Sherman called Sleeping Robot from 1987. And incidentally, this painting was shown in an exhibition called Sitting Technologies, curated by Diana Agistis at the MacKenzie Gallery.
Diana Agaitis.
a guidus at the MacKenzie Gallery in 1988. So we thought it would be really just a great sort of like kind of closing some sort of loop, including the reference to the physical space of the MacKenzie Gallery and a show that happened historically, bringing it into this IRL format, and also playing with the idea of like Easter eggs and hidden artwork in the exhibition. So yes, that is my talk. Thank you so much for listening and for your time. Great.
Thank you so much, Katie. That was really great to get the the live curatorial tour. It's been so fun being behind scenes the past few months with these works, but it's so the intention that you put through selecting these projects really comes through when you are able to talk about them and we're able to look at them and they work and it's great now.
It's all good.
Yeah.
Been a ride.
I just wanted to note that for the audience members that we have the artists here with us and curator as well. If there's a question that you would like to ask towards Katie, Jonathan, myself, or any of the artists we have here in front of us about their works, you can type it in the chat. That's what the housekeeping at the front of the program was for. So again, if you're not logged into Twitch or YouTube, then you'll just need to log in order to submit one of those questions, and then we'll read it out loud.
So you can actually play or explore this exhibition yourself at home right now by visiting the URL. We'll post it in the chat again. I'm sure it's been posted already, so that you can explore everything that we just explored together on your own time. And it's a great way to be able to spend some time with the digital artworks.
I'm dropping that in the chat now. Thank you to everybody who is sending their congratulations. I hope that the artists are able to review some of these comments that have been given throughout the presentation today. There's been a lot of emojis and interesting thoughts that have been had. Just to I think Katie, you had some sort of themes that you had been addressing generally with the artists, especially through the particular way that you inserted them into your presentation with questions about like the audience as player, and I'm just bringing up these questions that you had for myself, audience as player, and also this kind of development of some of these works that have been transitioned from an existing form to a new form or encased in some in a new environment. Could I ask some of those questions to our artists now as we're waiting for audience questions?
Sorry, I have too many computers.
Too many tabs.
I would love to hear from the artists. Go for it. I just threw some questions out before the opening, but yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was wondering to Fallon, not to point you out, that someone's got to go first. It was really interesting to see how your project really evolved through this exhibit, because it changed from these still images that had a very specific meaning when you encountered them, through social media. There was this connection with, the circulation of these images, these lower resolution images, and then you ended up wanting them in this massive space, blown up, huge, even still at lower resolutions, but in a very high definition environment. I was curious about how you came to that decision, and if the meaning of the work has changed for you at all through the sort of reimagination of that encounter with the image.
Yeah, definitely. That's a great question. I just think like Katie and Kat and John, you all did such a good job with curating my work together, and really like being responsive to sort of like our are like my sort of decisions for like incorporating the space and like how to sort of develop the space. And even like while I was like sort of gathering all the like the assets and stuff, because it's a very new environment for me to be in and have my art in and exist in, because um and I'm just like very new to it, but I really thought it was really really helpful and useful that you all just were really responsive and uh just really good with treating my work. So if the I think like it really did create a lot of new meetings with like the second part of what Katie was describing with my work, with how placing it sort of in a warehouse and then sort of having these trees, sort of these trees and shrubs and those like nature assets sort of pop up around the art, really sort of brought it into a different space and sort of brought it back to my earlier thinking around like indigenous sovereignty and sort of like what it means to have like a body and land connection, and create those sort of deeper meanings between like land and nature and mental health and how they all sort of connect. So I really thought that that was really cool. And it did really, I think for me, like enrich the meeting a lot. So I hope that helps. Thank you.
Thanks, Fallon. Yeah, I think it does. You're as well. It was really, yeah, it was really neat to work with you as well. Thank you very much for those kind words. Tom, I think we also alluded to this kind of development that your work had seen previously. That Easter egg that we included from Citing Technology at the back of your, people will find it themselves in your installation. I'm curious for you that you had also a very similar experience of where we took something that you had presented in a previous form, but then reinterpreted it for this new mode, and we actually the actual video had to be transitioned to a digital format as well previously to this. Tom, could you just talk a little about, or let us know how you feel about this transition of the medium from this like previously analog, then it was a digital file, now it's a digital exhibition. How's that experience been for you as an artist?
Probably similar to the whole idea of the analog going to digital. I guess I'm really into the translational aspect of it, that I'm an analog person, I'm flesh and blood. I don't think that people are digital. I think this is a coding structure that's, that's been used to make the transfer of images more efficient. There's less noise around it, and by necessity, we went digital. But I don't think as creatures, we're not digital creatures. We're analog as animals. So I find the whole thing a very interesting adventure in language coding. And, it was just really interesting to build the work with Katie and the digital people that made this happen. I found it really interesting to construct this world in digital language, right? And to create a virtual space. And ironically, we're creating a gallery space for a work of video art that was made in the 80s to be presented in its own kind of digital context, which is really not as good as taking the analog video and just presenting it as a digital digital image, a full frame. So I find the whole thing quite kinky in the sense that it's just about coding language and making this transfer to simulate analog reality with digital. So it's an interesting thing. The image that appears behind the screen is an image. It's an iconic image that I made in 1986, which was a symbol for a sleeping robot, which is the machine that I imagined as an intelligent artifact. back in 1987, and I'm giving in these analog videos an experience transfer to this digital device so that it can understand the analog world that we live in. So it's just an added layer.
Tom, we have we have an audience member who wonders specifically about kind of this relationship. They were wondering if you could discuss your thoughts on placing your camera-based video work in relation to the cameraless/lensless video system that is this online exhibition and the works that it contains. So putting your lens-based work in a lensless exhibition.
Yeah. But that's just that sort of follows the notion that, video is in its early stage, and in its early stage, it uses lenses like the human eye does, the analog form of the human being to see itself to a certain degree. I think video will evolve into a lensless form, right? And that's something to try to get your head around. So, when people are so excited about digital video, the filmmakers in particular are real excited about digital video because they can work in video without saying the word video, which is apparently some kind of a taboo. So there's a worldwide deception going on that they're working in film, which is an obsolete medium, an obsolete analog form, photomechanical form, and they talk about digital video as being this new space. It's not a new space. It's a simulation of optical analog space. So I probably can't answer the question of what lensless analog image video that no longer exists, and that the video will in fact be digital and will not be captured by a camera.
Thanks, Tom. Fallon, back to you. We just had a quick question of whether your warehouse virtual environment references a specific IRL space. Now, I know the back end of this question, but did you have a specific warehouse in mind when requesting that? The audience member says it reminds them a lot of the Brickworks.
Yeah, that must be the Toronto Brickworks. I really like those spaces, and there's definitely like lots of place-based connections that you can make with sort of the warehouse in Toronto, especially along the downtown and sort of like closer to the waterfront and all those kinds of spaces. So it definitely does have that kind of aesthetic and quality. So, thank you so much for the question.
We've got another audience question. It seems we've got some love for Tom and Fallon in the chat right now. Back to you, Tom. We have Boriana wondering how you see your work in the context of the current hype of artificial intelligence production. Your thoughts on the change in the master-slave dynamic between people and their inventions.
Yeah. Let me just put it this way. It's a really exciting time to be alive because you're watching a whole bunch of humans embracing the idea that they can talk to a machine and that the machine will have an intelligence and will be able to fully disclose something beyond human intelligence. And people are really buying into it. And there's a lot of really crazy, I'm reading stuff every day about people, talking to machines. And that's really what is occurring, that we knew that there would be a better ability to talk to machines around 2023. And, so the machines are now able to talk to us, right? And they're talking to us in a simulation of databases that they're reading, et cetera. And they're only as good as the database that there is. What I do fear is that there will be a homogenization of written language. I see that a lot. And so I find there's going to be a dumbing down or a universality to language. So these artificial entities these chatbots will be able to write an English which is better than my English or your English, right? And they'll homogenize writing, and that's not a good thing. It just makes you wonder about how you might write to be distinguishable from the universal artificial intelligence based English. So there's a lot with that. With imagery, it's again complex, but we're seeing the world being covered by this paste, this kind of patina of all of these homogenized forms. And of course, it depends on what database you're looking at and how you train this entity. So it's really like looking in a mirror and processing yourself and collectively thinking about all of the other things that are in the database, right? So unless the database is good, your eccentricities will not exist, right? And I think overall, this is probably not a very good stage that we're in, because we're just going to see a great deal of uniformity sweep across the world. Can you did somebody say something?
No, that was my fault. I turned on the video. You're just hearing yourself. You're just talking to yourself.
That's okay. So we're in the early stages, but I mean the thing is, it's just like when you go to one of these chatbots and you ask it, you're training it to understand what it is that you want to hear back, right? So it's really a mirror, and unless what you want to hear back is already in the database, which it probably isn't, is if you're eccentric at all. And God knows we don't like eccentricity. I taught in art schools for years. The worst thing was when there were eccentric people in art schools, all the professors, all the artists wanted to stomp them out, right? They wanted to get rid of them. They want them to act like art students, right? So, anyways, that's what I think about what's happening with the current trend and excitement. So it's great that we can finally talk to machines and they talk back and they speak a recognizable language. It's just that I'm afraid we're in a bit of a loop, and we're going to all be talking back to machines that are going to make us into one.
Thanks, Tom. We've got another question in the chat, this time for Shen. Vidya was wondering about your choice of using the cruise ship in your work, and what are your thoughts behind the location and the scale of the ship? I know that there's a lot behind this question for you.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Yeah, because Valley of the Whale, it's actually the third work of a long-term project of mine. It has a very long title. It's called The Spectacles Before Us Were Indeed Sublime. It first started it first started as a 2-channel video, and it's only depicting the front and the rear of the ship. Because it's actually coming from a personal cruise experience, which was my very first time, and probably going to be my very last time of doing a cruise ship trip. Because it was, I don't know if any of you had that experience. It's just, to me, it was such a confinement, and throughout the trip, this feeling, I had this strong sensation of being placeless. And as we all know, these the ocean or the ship carries a lot of symbolisms throughout the history, and I guess when you're like stuck or confined in a space for like a week or so, that kind of everything in that confined space becomes part of a dissociation. So that was the start point of this series. And then obviously I thought a lot about, the symbolism behind it, how, how a ship, or the act of cruising started, we can think about it as the starter of global colonialism. And also thinking back to my own personal experiences, how, especially, this view of the rear of a ship where all you can see is waterways, and this endless feeling of like a forever departure from something that's familiar, something that's maybe you call home. So that's I guess the location of the ship, and yeah, the VR project was the third work in this process, and this was back in 2018, right? Actually, yeah, this was all before COVID happened. Sorry, 2019, and I was really lucky that I got to work with Jonathan from them to actualize the work, and at the time it was also, yeah, sorry, the context is a lot, because the birth of the VR work was part of this 3-sided exhibition series that was curated by Toronto-based curator Belinda Kwong. And the idea was, at 3 different galleries and 3 different locations, 2 of them in real life and 1 of them online, and consequently, so like some of them overlapped in terms of time, so it will show part of the cruise ship. And so the scale, it's not only in terms of space, in terms of a digital space, in terms of how much you can navigate digitally, but also at the time it was also related to a like temporality. That's also was an important factor. Sorry, I tried to be concise, but this was a very dense project.
Thank you, Shen. It's such a dense and multifaceted project that we had accidentally installed the wrong version of it before, just a few weeks ago before the show. But thankfully, the digital world is forgiving in that way. It's definitely worth spending some time with this version that's in the show, and then also I think for folks who are more interested in seeing all the various facets of it, you should check it out on Shen's website. We've got another question, this time for Milumbe. Very cool to see a work evoke Eshu. What are your thoughts on recent artificial intelligence developments like ChatGPT and the impact it could have in the reproduction / manipulation of oral traditions, such as the trickster?
Thanks for the question. I think it's a very timely question, because we've all, especially those of us who are artists, we've been really shaken by the, how can I put it, by the advent of AI art generators. And I know at the beginning, when some of these apps like DALL-E and Midjourney, which are AI generating apps, came on the scene, and I tried them out. It was quite, I think it was quite threatening, because suddenly, especially me with my expression, which I'm comfortable with, illustration and painting and that kind of visual style, suddenly this app levels the playing field And it doesn't matter how much work I put in, all the years of work at the end of the day, it meant nothing. But to be honest, now I realize that AI art and AI in any industry is not going anywhere. It is a Pandora's box that has been opened. Sorry for sounding so unrealistic about it, but the reality is that I know it's not going on anywhere. So I got on board with it. And actually now I feel that I can use it as a tool. And I think it kind of contributes, I think gives, I use it maybe to kind of enhance my own artistic expression. And yeah, I don't know if I answered the question. I'm sorry, what is the other part of the question?
Oh, yes, the impact that AI could have in the reproduction / manipulation of oral traditions. Like, perhaps considering it, I'm putting words into this person's mouth, but perhaps considering AI in the role of the trickster. The trickster figure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it is a trickster in itself, because I mean, and when it comes to oral tradition, maybe it actually could enhance the whole. It could be beneficial, because then a lot more people have got the ability to tell stories visually, from which they might not have been able to do without AI art. So, for example, like you said, oral tradition is passed through from mouth to word, and with AI art, it gives a lot more people the ability, even those who do not necessarily have, who have not practiced art for 20 years, even storytellers, even orators can actually interpret the ideas visually. And I think that is, yeah, that could be a good thing as well. So that's how I see it changing. So it's not, what I'm trying to say is that AI art has leveled the playing field so much that we are no longer, as artists who've been practicing art for, you don't have to take 20 years to master art. And as we know that visuals are a very strong component to storytelling. And so even somebody who might be a good writer, somebody who might be a good orator, but is lacking in trying to express the ideas visually, now that is no longer, that is no longer so much of a problem. And that is how I see changing the playing field, and maybe having an impact on oral traditions.
Thank you, Milumbe. I think this follow-up question, or from another audience member, sort of expands upon what you said earlier about the different aspects of things you bring into your practice, like as role as an illustrator, but also integrating photography. The question is, I'm curious to hear about your use of mixed media, particularly what role does photography play in creating the realms in your work?
Oh, photography, not much, because I don't really use photography as an expression. Yeah, no, it doesn't play too much of a part. I think for me, especially with I'm more illustrative based, and the kind of illustrations I make are based from imagination, and I don't really use references so much. So photography is not really part of my practice, but like the person who asked the question pointed out, I do use many other elements and with my work.
Yeah, if you get a chance to continue playing through Milumbe's work, you'll see there's also 3D environments that you explore. There's quite a number of different aesthetics integrated all throughout the experience, which is quite fun. We did have one. Oh, yeah, we did have another question, just to quickly keep the spotlight on you, Milumbe, now that you're warmed up. An audience member was wondering if you could share more about exploring diaspora in your digital work.
Okay. Yeah, for me, I think it's really important to talk about stories that are not necessarily mainstream, and to talk about stories that kind of are based on my experience being somebody within the diaspora and from being from another region. And also telling them in a way, I think that would encourage people who might not necessarily be familiar with the stories to interact with the narratives. And that is where I use expressions like video games and graphic novels, because I know those are not necessarily such a big thing where I come from my region, but within the diaspora and within Canada, North America, Asia, those expressions that are familiar to people. So it's almost kind of like tricking people, and maybe I don't know whether that's the right word to use, because you can imagine if a concept is so unfamiliar, and I'm using a very unfamiliar medium to tell those stories. You're asking too much of people, but it's kind of like when I use these, when I express these unfamiliar concepts using a familiar platform, I think that is where the aspect of the diaspora comes in, because I am impacted, or I am influenced by the place where I'm living. And where I'm living right now is in North America, is in Canada. So for me, it's always very exciting to use the influences of the mediums that I found here, that are typically used here, the media art and stuff, which I wouldn't maybe necessarily use back in my home country. So, and then at the same time, because I do, people from my home country want to know what I'm up to, what art I'm making. And so when they come and play video games, they know me as a painter, they know me as an illustrator, and then suddenly they look at my art and I'm making video games. It's also encouraging people from where, who do not know the medium to actually explore it. And so that's how I see my art playing a role within the diaspora.
Thank you, Milumbe. That's great. That's really lovely. Yeah, it's. I was thinking about your multifaceted practice, and here we have the video games.
Yeah.
This is just like another side of all the things that you do.
Yeah.
Adrienne, I had a question for you. As somebody whose work really does look like video games, and has a real, like, it's just so it looks so polished. It's just teeming with like sci-fi references. You really looks like you could go in and have some sort of battle monster like jump out at you at any moment. But integrating that your work within this like broader exhibit of digital art. Do you think how do you feel like, as someone who makes such almost like explicitly digital, so there's so many references to people's idea of what a digital art, what video games are like. Do you think audiences who are more familiar with video games might pull something different from your work than our general audiences? Or when you were sort of conceiving of this work, were you intending it to read more, or like be more legible to a certain type of audience with certain references?
I don't think anything like that kind of choice was made intentionally, but I do consume a lot of science fiction like shows and a lot of video games as well. So like it's all the references that I am looking for. I think that making it as a video game, people who are more familiar with interacting with video games will probably spend more time in the space and like maybe be more interested in finding all of the little spaces. And I think that for the general audience, like, you might not have the patience to find everything, which I think is completely fair and valid. And I think that there's always an interesting thing. I always like the idea of a video installation that you can just walk out of anytime you want. And so everybody gets a kind of a different experience. And there might be things that you miss that you wanted to see, but there might be things that you saw that like other people didn't see. And I think that kind of unique interaction is really interesting for me. And also there is an abstract narrative that goes along with the piece that's not like fully public yet. I have to work on it a bit more, but I think that being able to interact with narratives in games, like a lot of the works in that exhibition, like you become more attached to the narrative because you have to figure it out. Like I think that the kind of emotional connections that I feel to like characters in video games, like you end up spending so much time with them. I think that like it's a way to become more invested in the narrative that you're exploring.
Thank you, Adrienne. I wanted to throw a question over at Thoreau about your lovely VR cats, which the chat was going wild for, I must say. People are very excited to see where we could break. Can we break the box? Can we break the whole exhibit with your VR cats? I was just wondering, so VR cat is an infinite digital multiple in this exhibit, which perhaps it goes against the trends of the more recent years of imposing scarcity upon digital assets through the NFT boom. How come you decided to make the VR cats just so infinite, and will we be expecting an NFT anytime soon?
Well, I think I would have to, I'd love to have a clever answer for that, but I think I would rather respond by giving credit both to Katie, yourself, Kat, and Jonathan, because I feel like this work that I had, this kind of static, sculptural work, really came to life with the ideas and execution of the team. So I almost it's hard for me to remember some point where that was even my idea. So I just I know that Jonathan and you worked really hard, and Katie is so much more than just the selector of different works here. She really worked with me on the idea. So I guess what I would say is this work was pushed so much further by all of you, and so I just want to shine a little light back on your team and say it's really great to be part of it.
One thing I'll add to that is, so I think Katie, in your talk, you were mentioning the sort of blurriness of digital works, and there's a couple of different places where it gets blurry between where the artwork ends and the frame of the artwork begins, but also because of the intensely collaborative nature of these digital projects, the sort of role where one person's role ends and another person's begins can also become blurry, but that's quite a lovely part of working on digital art, I think, for myself.
Yeah, so big thank you, Jonathan and Kat, for all your work, and Katie for all your thoughts and meetings and brainstorming.
Well, just to expand on that, I've known Thoreau for a while, and I saw this project as a sculpture, and I knew how it was created through the VR, that I'm imagining Thoreau in a room with his goggles on, with his controllers, building this cat, and then yes, there it is. And then it being 3D printed, and it became this object that has been shown in galleries. And I also know about his interest in multiplicity. And so I was like, let's just make this cat infinite. So that was the starting point. And it was, I think, it was a really interesting portion of this exhibition to work on, for the reasons that have already been mentioned. But I think that the idea that this final installation presented is very much part of Thoreau's practice since I've known him. So it was just sort of making that happen in this new context, which I think was so exciting about this exhibition. And to echo some of the things that Thoreau said about Kat and Jonathan. Not enough can be said in terms of like thanking you two. You're so patient and talented and just like kept, I don't know, it would have been impossible without your skill set and all of the different skill sets that you brought together to make this happen. It really was like a kind of like a dream project. And when I was approached to be part of this exhibition and within the context of the Detail app, which is in development, this is kind of, I was thinking about like, let's challenge what you're building by making an exhibition that is kind of like really complicated and you know, I don't know, just it was an inspiration. It was definitely an inspiration point for how to approach the show. So yeah, so it was blurry but super fun. Very intense show, but very, very fun for sure. Yeah,
Blurry in the best ways.
It's so interesting when you use the words blurry, because digital is usually sharp and
Yeah, ones and
explicit
zeros. Yeah.
and with little noise. That's why we went digital, right? So
Yeah.
it's really interesting that you approach the digital as being blurry, because analog's blurry. It's always disappointingly human and animal like, and you know, I find that fascinating.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you so much. To everyone for being a part of the project. It's been really fun to work with you all. I wanted to just remind folks that they can actually experience this out for themselves at MacKenzie.art or through, we'll be updating the thereis.no gallery to redirect directly to the exhibition link. So right now it's redirecting to this live stream, but you can visit the website that has the embedded interactive experience in it through MacKenzie.art. Do note that it's best on Firefox. We can guarantee results on Firefox, and everything else is a surprise. But a very, very interesting surprise. There's an we're sharing, we'll just dropping that link directly to the exhibit in the chat now. There's an artist panel where some of these folks will be returning in April, on April 13th. That's a Thursday in the evening, to talk more about their experience with this the exhibit and this translation of their works into kind of this new, digital arts, but in a intentional digital exhibit form. And that you can check out, so that's on Thursday, April 13th, and then you can also see this whole exhibit until the 23rd of May this year. We have social media for all the artists that we've tagged them in, so you can go and explore their work through those links as well. And I think I'm just mindful of time. We said for all the artists that we'd be wrapping up about 30 minutes ago. So thank you everyone for your participation, and thanks for the audience for coming along and asking those questions that kept us a little over time. That's
Great
just
audience.
because of those engagements. Thank you.
Thank you, audience, and thank you, artists. I've loved working with all of you. I'll miss you, but we'll stay in touch.
We'll all be digital, some version of ourselves will be locked inside this digital exhibition forever. So we'll be there together.
In Shen's project. We're all just in Shen's project on the cruise ship.
Well, thank you so much, everyone.
Good night, world.
Thank you, everyone.
Good night.
Bye.